Alright, today is Friday, April 26th, and for the first time, we are not really going to talk about trading. We are going to instead talk about what am I doing wrong and how do I fix it, which I get on average 2 to 3 emails a day from people following me on Twitter asking that very question. And for those of you who don't know, there's really no right answer. For example, one gentleman emailed me today, and he gets the overall trend right, but he has trouble getting in too early and then holding through chop, or um, doesn't sell in time. And that is a problem that I have myself still to this day. Not so much with the sell side, but I do tend to sit through a lot of chop, which kind of gives me nightmares. But it is what it is. What I've found to help me, as many of you have seen since starting this little webcast thing that I do, is when I come up with price targets, um, like I said, my price targets are usually 2 days out. They're never for the week. I never go that far out because too much can change. But when I do come out with price targets, it gives me something to um, keep an eye on for the options. For example, with LinkedIn, I had a price target yesterday of 190, I think it was. Yeah, 190, right? Yeah, all right, 190, and that price target got beat. And then usually with that, you'll see some sort of a follow-up or a follow-through or a breakdown further, whatever. But when I get to that point, I know that that's my target for the day. So worst case, that's where I exit. Listen, if LinkedIn goes to a 195, yeah, I'm gonna be pissed. But in my mind, my target was 190. I played the move to 190. I got out where I was expecting to get out, and I locked in my profits. If LinkedIn goes to 190, say 190.34, right, and I don't sell because I'm expecting to go further, and then LinkedIn just all of a sudden the market reverses, SPY drops a point in like 10 minutes, and LinkedIn starts trickling down with it, I lost my exit point. I lost the point that I wanted to get the most return or what I was expecting to get. And then I'm sitting there like, well, I lost this much money. Now I have to hold to hope to get back to that. The reality in this market is, unless we're bullish like we've been for the past week or so here, well, I mean this week we were bullish, but last week we weren't. But since the reversal, unless we're bullish, you're not going to get that follow through. You're not going to get another higher high. You're not going to get that consistency that we play for. You're going to get the reversal like we saw here. I mean, the SPY broke my target of 159.0, and now look at it. It's setting up to be just like it was over here. We got big POMO coming in, so that's going to throw shit into the mix. Now what? Now what do you do? It's stuff like that. I used to have a huge problem with that because I wouldn't come up with targets. I would just come up with what I was expecting: green, red, chop, no chop, and then I'd get stuck holding and having to figure out what to do. As far as getting in too early, a lot of that you have to go into the chart itself. I mean, with LinkedIn on Monday, I had a low of 180 or 173, was it? 173, and it actually had a low of like 172 and change. So it broke that low, but I mean, at least I had the idea. And when you go in with these ideas, they're just that, they're ideas. I go in with targets and ideas every day. I chose to sleep in. I missed pre-market. I missed market open. I was exhausted from the week, and I just missed it. But just because I come up with targets and just because we come up with targets doesn't mean that they're set in stone. Doesn't mean that I'm going to trade off of it, because I have to keep an eye on what the market's doing in general. I have to keep an eye on what the tape looks like, and things can change. If I see somebody sell 100,000 shares in a lot, and I'm bullish the stock, my perception of what's coming is gonna change drastically. And unfortunately, that's the market that we're in right now. You can be as firm in your belief that the stock's going to go one way or another, but if you don't have the ability to adapt to what's going on, because that's what we really have to do. That's the name of the game right now, is adapting to what you're seeing and what's going on, and then using it to your advantage. So that's what I want to talk about with that. There is no set in stone way to trade, unfortunately. It's kind of up for interpretation. I use targets on both the upside and the downside. Most of the time I don't tweet out or talk about my targets to like a bounce. If I think it's going to bounce off of something, don't really talk about that. I did on LinkedIn just because I thought that I knew I wasn't really going to trade it, so I figured other people might be able to benefit from that, and hopefully some of you did. I will say this much though, LinkedIn has earnings, and I personally, if I had to take a guess, I'd say they'd beat. They have a very similar chart to Netflix going into earnings. They actually have a better, more bullish chart than Netflix going into earnings. I will say, however, that there is a lot of room for it to fall if they do not beat on earnings. But I think that this is going to be their blow off top. I think this is where they're just going to rip and go above 200. But unfortunately, it's a big risk, and I probably won't be playing it. Other than that, I think we have started the transition from a bullish swing to a now bearish swing. I mean, it looks real nice, and it's a real yummy trade, but I think we start trickling down. I would not be shocked to see this go green in the last couple hours of the day, just because of what it did over here. I know we have POMO days coming up. I don't know when they are. Let's see. I'm pretty sure there's a $5 billion POMO day coming, which will be interesting to watch. Yeah, on Tuesday, we have a big POMO day. So it'll be real interesting to see what happens as far as the overall market. But I think we have some room for a short here, and I think we're seeing the beginning of it. This Amazon got hammered today, unfortunately, but it did pay out as far as targets for the week, which is good. Banks are holding up surprisingly well, actually, considering, but I do think that we're seeing a good short here. Other than that, I'm not really going to go into targets for anything right now. I want the day to close. I want to have time over the weekend to look at it, and then we'll go from there. But I really wanted to address the topic of what am I doing wrong and how do I fix it. A lot of times it's just your mentality about it. We're all here to get money. We're all here to make money, but at times we need to understand that 100% is good. 75% is good. Like, money's money. Profit's profit. If you're pulling profit, you're doing something right. Whether you get in too late or too early, or you don't sell in time and you're still walking away with profit, that's a good thing. You make mistakes and you still come out with green. It's when you're completely missing the trend or you're trying to bet against the trend before you have a sign to do that. That's where the real problem is, and that's where something needs to be fixed, and you need to take time to address what's really going on. and everything. But listen, half the battle with trading is overcoming your mental problems and your perception and all of that, and that takes time. So I would seriously suggest, if you're having those types of problems where you're getting in too early or you're not getting out in time, start coming up with targets for both, like what it's going to bounce off of, or in other words, what you think the low will be, and then your upside targets, or in reverse, if you think it's a bearish stock, your upside target as far as where the top will be, and your downside target of where you expect the stock to go to make money. But if you have any questions, you can always email me. My email's in my Twitter, like about me thing, and that's really it. I will put up the Sunday uh, week expectations, what we're going to be looking at for the week, and where we expect everything to go. And then the next week or so is probably going to be pretty quiet from me. I do have finals, unfortunately. I am only 21, so if that's a problem with you, fucking deal with it. I think my track record over the last 2 weeks is proof enough that I know what I'm doing. But if it's not for you and you need somebody who's 30 years old, Sang Lucci's the way to go. But I'll see you guys later.